Yeah, after the pledge. After this. Oh, you have roll call first.
Oh, sorry. Then roll call.
Stand and face the flag, please.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation by Pastor Keith from Club Zion.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you and bless you for the privilege and the honor to come before you this evening. We thank you that you welcome us with open arms. We pray for our city commissioners, that you fill them with wisdom and discernment, that you give them clear understanding of the issues before them, that the decisions would prosper our community. We thank you for our city attorney and our city manager, Lord. Let all things that are done tonight be done decently and in order. We thank you and ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Roll call.
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Commissioner Hutchinson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Williams.
Here.
Mayor Kiki.
Here.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Any public comments about items that are not on the agenda? Janice?
Good evening, Mayor, city staff, everybody. Happy New Year. It's going to be a great year. It's Monday afternoon. Boy, we can all cheer. God bless America. So I wanted to also bring a matter to your attention that a lot of us have talked about since last year. And it has to do with the budget, so we get a head start on looking at the budget from last year and looking at the millage. Okay, so some of us have come up with some ideas, but one of the things had to do with the lifeguards, that the county seems to still want us to pay for the lifeguards. And when I talked to the TDC and the county commissioners and everybody about what is the problem here, I mean, you market Cocoa Beach, you should pay to protect all these people and provide safety services for them. And they're like, oh no, Cocoa Beach General Fund should be paying. And so I'm like, what? I said, you know, yes, when they bring tourists here, the bars, the restaurants, everybody makes a profit. But the city is not managed in a for-profit model. We are not for profit, only services people cannot provide for themselves. So just to take a look at a couple of things in particular, the county millage, which we all pay as well as to the municipality, is 2.92. Cocoa Beach millage is an additional 6.16. And if you go down the corridor from Patrick Air Force Base to, up the corridor, down the corridor from the port to Patrick, that strip is under 4 jurisdictions. Of course, take out the port, they do their, whatever they do, they're a federal port. So we have Cape Canaveral, Avon by the Sea, Cocoa Beach, Snug Harbor, Crescent Beach, and then we get to Patrick Air Force Base. So we have all this administrative overhead there. And I think people need to start thinking about what are we getting more than Avon by the Sea and Snug Harbor and Crescent Beach aren't getting. They're getting fire protection, they're getting all these things. And so, it's just something to have conversation about. Why should we be paying 6.16 more than you pay in the county? I won't make another comment here that I made somewhere else that seemed to get a lot of traction, but we want people who come here to be safe and to enjoy Cocoa Beach. I'm not against the businesses, I want them to thrive, but I don't want to pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Staff reports.
I just have one thing this evening, and that is next Wednesday, which is January 22nd, the speed limit signs, which have been blocked off for a little bit of a while now, will be exposed, and the speed limit is going from 35 to 30 miles an hour. So pay attention to your speed in that area. Okay, that's all I got.
What, on A1A?
Yeah.
In Cocoa Beach on A1A?
Where? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
From,
16th Street.
from downtown to where it comes back together, going south. So South Orlando and South Atlantic, from South First Street down to, right before the base, yeah. I'm not sure the exact streets, but all the signs that have been covered up are going to be exposed on Wednesday, and the speed limit, which was 35, is going down to 30.
Thank you. That actually wasn't a commission decision, by the way. City Attorney.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
City Commission, any reports, announcements?
So I had a question posed. The Beach Crossover Citizen Advisory Board had put together some recommendations. This was a little while back. Did we ever get to see as a commission the results of the Citizen Advisory Board, or I'm not sure exactly the name of it?
Last thing I remember was FDOT came in here and gave a presentation to the commission of exactly what those crosswalks were going to look like, and if my memory serves me correctly, those plans are at 100%.
I think it was for the, and correct me if I'm wrong, the like the ADA compliance and recommendations associated with the beach access crossovers.
I haven't seen that, Commissioner.
Okay. If we could take a
I'd have to
look,
look
I don't know if it came to the commission and I wasn't here. or-
Crossovers going over the dunes or
Yeah,
across
I
A1A?
think we pulled together a citizens advisory board to look at that and make a recommendation, things like compliance with ADA and state and things like that. And I believe there was even some resolutions that they had made, but I'm not sure if we ever saw it. Be interesting to pull that forward and just, if the time was spent, we might as well get a chance to take a look at it. Thank you.
I just wish everybody a blessed New Year.
Anybody else? You want-
Yeah, obviously, Happy New Year for everybody. This is our first meeting in 2025, and hopefully in a couple months, we'll be in a new building at City Hall. How many of you were woken up last night about 2 o'clock, 2:15 in the morning? I woke up before it because I'm a nerd and wanted to watch it, right? Because if you wake up from the sound of it, you've already missed it. And then there was a Starship launch just a couple hours ago from in Boca Chica, and they're going to be bringing that here probably within a year. I mean,
Structure's
the range
built.
guy, right? Yeah, it's already ready to go. They were actually as successful as Blue Origin because half of it worked and half of it didn't. So, but that rocket's going to be even louder than the one from last night. So, yeah, get ready for that to happen. It's exciting and like a little anxiety also at the same time. So, but again, I'm glad to be here, and here we go. Let's move on.
I just want to remind the police chief and the city manager that we wanted In God We Trust on our police vehicles. So try to make sure that happens eventually. And I guess that's it for me. All right, the city commission will temporarily recess and then we'll reconvene as the Cocoa Beach Downtown Community Redevelopment Agency for the following items.
Okay, item G, Community
There we go.
Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA. Item 1, requesting the commission to consider funding for Cocoa Beach Main Street. Representative Kenny Wells, Cocoa Beach Main Street Director. Staff Representative Devin Talley, Deputy Finance Director.
Happy New Year, everyone. So last time I was here, you had asked for a report, and we've put one together for you. You did have copies of it in your packets or your mail, so I don't know if you've already glanced over this or not, but we're going to take a quick trip through. Just recapping Cocoa Beach Main Street's activities and budget for 2024. If you read in your packet, there's just some information about what Main Street is and about what our mission is. Our team, because we do have board of directors, we have 11 people on our board. This is our executive board and a list of the board members. Our community impact, we've started doing surveys every quarter, asking the businesses how our events impacted them and what we're doing. And so we're starting to get those figures, and we'll keep them compiled ongoing through this year as well. Our cost of operations. This lists out everything that we do, our expenses. Something that's really important, I feel like, is our volunteer hours. We have to do a report to the state every quarter, and they monitor they want to know what our volunteer hours are, and different information like that is collected. They figure it on I think it's $33.75 per hour. We had an average of 168 hours a month with all of our events. So that totals up to be $67,500 for the year, just in volunteer hours that the state credits us with. Credits us on paper, not monetarily, of course. Our future impact and what we're doing, the brick sales really saved our life this year. The end of the year, that was great, putting us to where we could meet our budget. So that was huge, and that is all done now and sent in, and hopefully in a couple months we'll have the bricks back and be ready to get them installed. We sold almost 700. Wow. So I thought that was really good. I hope all of you guys got one and ladies got one. And then this is just our role as Cocoa Beach Main Street and what we do. A lot of our impact mirrors the city's CRA and what our mission and what our role as Main Street is with the revitalization of downtown. That is what our main goal is. Doing events and activities is a way for us to continue going. It's part of the impact. But we work very closely with the businesses, and we also have business liaisons. In addition, more volunteers that go out and stay in touch with the businesses. Volunteer driven, and our partnerships for the community and for the city. Everyone, all the volunteers at Main Street, they do it for the love of Cocoa Beach. And we want to see it thriving. We all live here. We want it to be self-sustaining as far as the businesses go. So we're constantly bringing people downtown to get into our shops and restaurants to keep them thriving. Example, just last year we had 3 new businesses that moved in town from other local areas because Cocoa Beach is a place to be. And we feel really proud to be a part of that movement that is bringing people down here and bringing new business down here. We're looking into 2025. Some of our new things we're going to do is the Art Wave Festival. We are partnering with the city. The cities have asked us to help with a centennial celebration, which we're really excited about. That's going to be a crazy fun weekend. And then following it up with the air show the next weekend. So we've moved Friday Fest around a couple times to make sure that we have a street party going for these events. You know, our goal is more education to the community as to who we are, our business liaisons, more of a digital presence. You can, follow here, more fundraisers. And we do partner with Cocoa Beach High School and junior high. We work very closely with them, and we're trying to work on now getting a mini Cocoa Beach organization and have the kids learn all about being in a 501c3 and Robert's rules and fundraising and all that good stuff. And then these are our members, most of them, and they support annually with a membership. And that's it. So, any questions?
Question for finance director, city manager, anybody has it on the top of their tongue, because I don't have the city budget. What's our current budget allotment for 2025 for Main Street?
General fund?
15,000.
15.
Yeah, I think it's
General fund is 15, CRA is 0.
15,000.
Between the CRA and the general fund?
We didn't do a CRA, we just did general fund 15,000.
Devin Talley, Deputy Finance Director. Yes, the 15,000 is in the general fund budget. The CRA at this time currently has no budget for Main Street. So these funds that are being requested you guys would have to decide if you want CRA to provide those funds. But right now they are unbudgeted. It is something that we could look into going into our current budget season to put in there if we'd like. But as of right now, the 15,000 is in the FY25 budget for Main Street in the general fund.
So, without looking at your books, which I guess you could do, so would the CRA budget be allowed to and have enough funding to add another $25,000 to the 15,000 that's going from the general fund, the 25,000 from the CRA toward Main Street?
We could contribute 25,000. I'd have to take it from another line item from one of our CRA accounts.
And if that line item was something like the piggy bank for the parking garage, long-term maintenance and repairs, would you feel that you were going to be in a deficit going forward?
If I had to take 25,000 from the CRA fund, I wouldn't take it from that. I would most likely have to go into our facade grant program because it's grant and other aids. I could take 25,000 from that because as of right now, the 200,000 that's been approved, no businesses have come forward to apply yet. There's been some inquiries, but no official applications to bring to the CRA board. So if I had to pick somewhere to take it from, I could take it from there, but the preference would be to wait into the new budget season and formally request it and have commission approve it that way.
Well, to keep the Main Street program moving, I'd like to make a motion that we direct the CRA finance accountant to reappropriate $25,000 from the facade grant program to the Main Street program. So that would be 15,000 plus another 25, which would be $40,000. And I'll look for a second.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Got some public comment here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow night.
Better hang around.
Janice Scott?
Yes, Janice Scott, Cocoa Beach. This is sort of the tip of the iceberg. You know, when Main Street came here, I thought perhaps there would be an intro of when the program first started here 8 or 10 years ago. The city was going to give them seed money, and they were going to make their own way. And the person who came from Fort Pierce gave a big pitch to me personally of how successful that had been in Fort Pierce. Okay, it's a 501c3, not-for-profit. I don't think it's the business of government to keep giving our tax money, you're taxing us, but to provide services, not to support 501c3s, not-for-profit corporations. They are supposed to be making their own way here. Okay, we have also the chamber. I don't know if the city is still a member of the Cocoa Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. We have the TDC to give grants. They're getting tax money indirectly as well. I just think this is terrible, and I don't think you should fund even the 15,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Morgan Schneider. Marge, sorry.
Margaret Schneider, 191 Seminole Lane. I'll preface my remarks by saying I don't agree with the previous speaker. I'm here tonight both as a resident and a member of the Cocoa Beach Main Street Board of Directors to urge the Commission to provide much-needed funding for Cocoa Beach Main Street. I have discovered that many of our residents actually think that Cocoa Beach Main Street is a part of city government, and as such, our events including Friday Fest, Christmas Cookie Crawl, tree lighting, Winterfest, Sip and Stroll, Art Wave, and Pet Fest are fully funded by the city. As you know, we're an independent 501c3 with a mandate to organize a variety of events geared to contributing to a community lifestyle we can all enjoy and be proud of. We have one paid staffer who works tirelessly throughout the year. We have a board of 12 volunteers and additional 30 to 40 resident volunteers, all of who give up their time and talent to ensure that every event is successful, enjoyable, and benefits the community. Every penny we earn through our events is put right back into our bank account to cover budgeted expenses. We absolutely do not have the luxury of frivolous spending. Since Cocoa Beach is primarily a residential community with many small businesses, we are seriously restricted in our efforts to fundraise large corporations with substantial community relations dollars. We raise as much as we can, but it just isn't enough to sustain our budget and allow us to continue to provide these much-needed and enjoyed events on an ongoing basis. I trust the Commission will recognize the many and major contributions of Cocoa Beach Main Street to preserving our unique Cocoa Beach lifestyle and authorize a level of subsidy that is critically needed and would be much appreciated. I also appreciate the Commissioner Williams' motion. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thanks, Marge.
Nadine Hill.
Hi, just for context, I moved here 5 years ago from Denver, Colorado, and I'm a retired construction owner business. And my name's Nadine Hill, but some people may know me as Nadine still because I've moderated a Cocoa Beach Locals page, which I helped take from 20 to 45,000 people by curating the content. But I've been all over the United States and been to so many communities, and I have never seen a community organization work as hard as these Cocoa Beach Main Street people. I just have fallen in love with them and volunteer just as much as I possibly can. You know, people talk about the Magic Kingdom in Orlando. Well, the magic doesn't stop in Orlando. You come out to Cocoa Beach, and we have the sunrises, we have the surfers, we have surfing Santas, we have the air show, we have the boat show or boat races, and we have Friday Fest in Main Street. They went from 200 cookies for the cookie crawl up to 400. So what they are providing is community quality experience. And the magic to me is when I volunteer at the Cocoa Beach, the Main Street Festival, and I see families pushing strollers, going up and talking to other families and with ice cream running down the little kids' faces while they bop to the music. And we can thank all this community quality experience. A lot of towns don't have this. I've been to towns across the nation, they maybe have one event a year, but this is happening monthly in addition to the others. So I'm just requesting that the city continue to fund this, just like they would fund a tennis court or the skate park, something that brings quality experiences to our families, our children. And I have no skin in this game, no businesses here. My grandkids all live in Colorado, but I just would like to see the kids still having a good time at Friday Fest. That means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our public comment. Commission comment.
Yeah, I'll just say a couple of things. So first of all, I love Cocoa Beach Main Street. I love what you guys do with the mission. I have a concern we had talked, I think, October, early last year, said that we were verbally, in next year's budget, the 15K from general fund was going to be zero. So if we plus that up from 25K from the CRA, and this brick event is a $60,000 revenue, that's a one-time event. I'm hearing there's still going to be a $35,000 hole to fill next year if we're only giving them 25.
Well, we're giving them 40,000 this year.
I think the 15 is accounted in this report, is that right? The 15K grant from general fund. If we plus that up another 25 from the CRA, the brick's not going to happen next year necessarily.
Plus, we
They're
give
gonna have
them about 40,000 worth of police and fire for the year.
Oh, great.
Plus, we give them about 12,000 a year for rent for office.
All the in-kind services are not built in here.
Stand by my motion.
I personally, I like Main Street. I like the fact that, the togetherness, the community, that it brings together. Everybody gets to see each other and hang out. I'm fully in support of funding the police and fire. The public safety, I think, is something that we owe to the residents. And then also now we'll be able to give them a stage in a safe space, the Centennial Square. I have no problem with giving them the office because it's space that we're not really using anyways. But I do feel that I don't feel that the residents should subsidize the parties on top of it, but that's just my personal opinion. Anybody else?
Yeah, definitely. So we go back 12 years before Cocoa Beach Main Street had Friday Fest. There was other groups that were running Friday Fest, and we actually offered them $25,000 a year to run a Friday Fest. And you think, well, why would we do something like that? Well, it benefits the entire community. All the businesses downtown are waiting for that Friday Fest. They're looking forward to Friday Fest when it happens. If the weather starts to change on a Friday morning, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get rained out, those businesses are like, we got people, our employees, we got coming in, and we got not just staffing, but we've got product and all this ready to go. They're disappointed. You know why they're disappointed? Because they're making a lot of money. So we're generating we're not giving money or supporting Main Street. We're supporting the community. Not just the businesses either, because Main Street is more than just the businesses downtown. By offering the Friday Fest and the other events that they have, they give other nonprofits opportunities to make money. Kiwanis, Rotary, Elks, every sporting group at the Cocoa Beach High School, the different clubs at Cocoa Beach High School, a minimum of $1,000 every Friday Fest. Well, we don't have 12 Friday Fests a year because of rainouts and whatnot. I think it's like 10. So there's $10,000 that just goes from Main Street into clubs for your kids, for all your kids. So we're talking taking $25,000 out of a CRA account that has $200,000 in it that nobody's using. I mean, we're offering facade grants up to $200,000, and they've got a match, of course. So if they want to have change a facade, they've got to put $10,000 in. We'll cover $10,000 and so on. But it's still money coming from the CRA that's not being used. It's just beyond me to think that you wouldn't want to do that. And to go back even further, when we started Main Street, I was on the commission when Main Street was initiated, and it wasn't hey, we're going to give you seed money until you get going. No, it is a symbiotic relationship with the city, Cocoa Beach Main Street, or any Main Street USA. It's a relationship with the city, with the businesses, and with the residents at Cocoa Beach. It's a threefold entity, basically. And that's where it should have stayed. I don't know where we came from to say that, oh, well, we were only going to do that for a couple of years. That is not the case. So this money that we're supplementing, we're not supplementing, it's part of the community. And I think it should enhance, as you all mentioned, you love going to Friday Fest, but Cocoa Beach Main Street isn't all about Friday Fest. They do a lot of other things. They help bring businesses to Cocoa Beach. They are a liaison between the businesses and the business department of downtown Cocoa Beach, and they help kind of transition, bringing new businesses in and teaching them how to negotiate with the city. Although that's it's a lot better than it was 10 or 12 years ago. And Kenny can respond to that. So I am 100% for this. And thank you, Commissioner Williams, for offering the $25,000 out of the CRA. And I'm voting for it.
Quick question, does anybody know how much we used on that facade grant last year? I know we probably approved at least 125 or...
Yeah, I think 125 was approved.
Out of the 200,000 we budgeted last year, we committed 130,000. That was how many facade grants that we had. And then some of those were carry forward requests that you approved because we spilled over fiscal years by the time they were approved and then started.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I
Input?
agree with a number of the comments that were made, I think. I think everybody agrees that Main Street offers incredible value to the city, and that short of Main Street, we've been willing to look elsewhere and put forward significant amount of money to bring that value to the residents. So I think we've got to decide, probably the first is a binary decision of if we don't fund it sufficiently, does it go away? And if it goes away, are we okay with that, right? And so it sounds like the answer is no. So we need to work on something that makes it work. One of the things, in just learning a little bit, I'm not an expert on Main Street, and there are a lot smarter folks in the room on Main Streets than I am, but kind of putting the numbers together in terms of what the city puts forward. And Commissioner Hutcherson mentioned that I think we zeroed out the grant value in the following year. So if you accept that from the value of the 25 proposed by Commissioner Williams, the 40,000 for police, and these are rough numbers I think you were using, and the 15 for facilities, you come in around 80,000 from the city total. And if we look at the amount of self-generated revenue, and I think it's fair to say the brick event was brilliant, like brilliant. Probably not something we can count on every year, but if they can, do it, right? But if you back out the 60-ish thousand between revenue, vendor fees and sales revenue, it puts you at about 82,000 self-generated, right? What I was looking at in terms of Main Streets and similar cities is that the rule is kind of a third is what they try to target. And if we look at the private contributions, membership sponsorships, contributions, it puts us at about 36 for that third, right? And so wondering if the city were to match where Main Street is self-generating revenue, are there things that could be done by Main Street to find that remaining, fully funded third? There's about 40,000 short on membership, sponsorships, and contributions. I don't know what that looks like, but that's definitely an area where, to Commissioner Hutcherson's point, if the city steps up and puts in the additional from the CRA, I think there's a challenge there for Main Street to be in that balanced third, there needs to be an increase in private contributions to really have it be in a balanced Main Street posture.
Good comment. Tim was here when Main Street came to fruition, and there was kind of facade language that we heard that, oh, you see them $50,000 a year for a few years and then you taper off and then they're self-sustaining. Well, come to find out in this time frame is that was never really the way Main Streets work. And you were talking third, a third, a third. So the CRA funding goes through 2032, nod your head. 2032? 2033. So that money from the CRA, from the increased property values in the CRA district, is always going to go into the CRA. There's nothing we can do about it unless we disband the CRA. Why would we do that? You know, and give up that funding. So it's actually no additional cost to the residents because we already, you know, voted in the CRA years ago. It's no additional cost to allow that $25,000 to come from the facade grant program to go into Main Street. What we do in 2033, I don't know. I won't be here. I may be alive, but I won't be sitting up here. I don't think so. But as my fellow commissioner said, you know, it may be challenging for Main Street. Okay, well, everybody should be up for a good challenge. I think we've all faced challenges in our lifetimes. So I'd like to go ahead and solidify this $25,000 tonight and get the votes to do that and have Main Street work that challenge. And if they get to the point where they come back and they're in the red and they're going to have to fold and whatever, we'll look at it at a later date. But I don't believe that they're going to sit on their hands and not try to make up that delta so that they can continue and maybe be looking for about the same amount of funding again next year. So I would wish that at least one more, I can see two commissioners, myself and Commissioner Tumulty, that seem to be leaning toward voting for this, and I'd be looking for one more vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion passes 3-2.
Yeah, and I would ask, or level the challenge, for private contributions, if you guys could really scrub hard, you know, shoot for the moon, look for where you could say, how could we, between memberships, sponsorships, and contributions, find 43 and really balance out that third, a third, a third, I think would be incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. All right, we will reconvene for the remaining items. Consent agenda.
Okay, this is the consent agenda. Item 1, approve the December 5th, 2024 Commission meeting minutes, staff representative, City Clerk Department. Item 2, approve the following meeting date, Tuesday, March 4th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Town Hall meeting. Item 3, request approval for the city to enter into contract negotiations with selected firms for CB 25-002, continuing public management services. The two firms are Capital Strategic Solutions and Innovo Partners, LLC. Staff Representative Devin Talley, Deputy Finance Director Wayne Caragino, City Manager.
Move to approve the consent agenda as read.
I think it includes the board appointments, though.
Whole nother floor.
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it does, but I thought okay, you're going to read them, so everybody listen up.
I'll earn my money here. Okay.
There you go.
Item 4, board appointments. Board of Adjustment, reappoint John Cabord, serve a term ending November 2028, seat 1, Mayor Capizzi. Reappoint Ron Boger to serve a term ending November 2028, seat 2, Commissioner Jackson. Appoint Don Haynes to serve a term ending November 2028, Seat 3, Commissioner Tumulty. Appoint Carolyn Wallace as alternate to serve a term ending in November 2028, Seat 4, Vice Mayor Williams. Planning Board, reappoint Matt Schlar to serve a term ending November 2028, Seat 2, Commissioner Jackson. Appoint John Butera to serve a term ending November 2028, Seat 3, Commissioner Tumulty. Added 1/15/25. Appoint Margaret Schneider to serve as alternate, a term ending in November 2028, Seat 3, Commissioner Tumulty. Added 1/5/25. Appoint Mike Miller to serve as alternate, a term ending in November 2028, Seat 4, Vice Mayor Williams. Sustainable Land Advisory Committee, appoint Jamie Glainer to serve a term ending in November 2026, Seat 1, Mayor Capizzi. Appoint James Keith Capizzi to serve a term ending in November 2028, Seat 2, Commissioner Jackson. Appoint Carol Cruz to serve a term ending in November 2026, Seat 4, Vice Mayor Williams. Appoint Waylon Locklear to serve a term ending November 2026, Seat 5, Commissioner Hutcherson. Leisure Advisory Board, reappoint Mike Braddock to serve a term ending in November 2028, Seat 2, Commissioner Jackson. Appoint Greg Lund to serve a term ending in November 2028, Seat 3, Commissioner Tumulty. Added 1/15/25. Appoint Jay Capps to serve a term ending in November 2028, Seat 1, Mayor Capizzi.
J. Cole. I screwed up. That's J. Cole.
C-O-L-E.
I
J.
screwed up.
J. Cole?
When I texted it, I texted
Okay.
Caps instead of Cole.
Appoint Jay Cole to serve a term ending in November 2028, Seat 1, Mayor Capizzi. And that's it.
Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Unfinished business.
Okay, item 1, discuss the design and construction budget for Fire Station 50. Staff Representative Jeremy Hutcherson, Commissioners, recommendation reconsider path forward for Fire Station 50.
I move to approve the design path forward and capping the construction budget at $3 million. Looking for a second.
Okay, no second.
Okay.
Anybody want to discuss?
Item 2.
Item 2?
Pass the gavel or item 2?
Guess it dies for lack of second, so, item 2.
Okay, this is item 2, discuss pedestrian bicycle striping on the multi-use path along Minutemen Causeway. Staff Representative Wayne Caragino, City Manager, total cost $2,090. Recommendation, discuss and provide a decision on whether or not to move forward.
Move to discuss the pedestrian bicycle striping
Second.
on the multi-use path along Minuteman Causeway.
Got a motion and a second. Any public comment about striping on the sidewalks to keep the pedestrians and the bikes from each other?
Rick Anderson, 1800 Minutemen Causeway. Happy New Year, everybody. I thought that was a great idea when I think Commissioner Hutcherson proposed it, but when I looked at that sidewalk, I'm just wondering if it's actually wide enough for two distinct lanes. The e-bikes take up quite a bit of quite a bit of width in the lane, and I'm just wondering if a solid stripe down the middle may or maybe more a safety hazard than a safety help, because it is a very narrow sidewalk.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any commission comment?
Personally, I appreciate what Rick is saying. I think the narrowness may actually lend itself to the intent of the striping. I think it's a very low-cost, just really insightful approach. Would love to see if it takes effect. if it's a miss, we learn from it and we move on. But for the little bit invested to address a major public safety issue, we've heard from residents, we've had people get hit, people knocked over. We've got to start taking positive steps. And you do that by taking action, implementing something, learning from it, and continuing to iterate. So I think what Commissioner Hutcherson has put forward is very smart.
And I'll add to that, yes, Rick, it's going to be 2 narrow lanes, but it's telling the people in the e-bikes to stay on their side. Now, if they're like, having to really pay attention to stay on their side when they're passing people walking or skateboarding or whatever on the other side, then when it opens up, then they can relax and get a little closer to the center. But when they see people coming, they need to get back in their lane. So it wouldn't be a continuous hazard where there's not going to be cops out there saying, you crossed the line, you don't have your turn signal on, you're going to jail, So I think it's a good thing to try.
I would just maybe add on to that, maybe a couple signs that says bikes yield to pedestrians, something like that. Just, I think that might be a good idea as well. But I'm also in favor of this. I like it. So, all in favor?
I think this is probably a good step, to put this line down there, but as was mentioned, it is very narrow. So you stay on the right because we drive on the right side of the road. So people are walking on the right side of this path, and a e-bike is coming up at 30 miles an hour behind them. Do they go across that line and go into the oncoming traffic? Do they go in the grass or hit a sign that says, stay in your lane?
No. The way it's envisioned is, one side, it's going to be, if you're going toward the high school, it might be like you're driving in the United States. You're on your e-bike on the right-hand side of the road. If you're coming the other way, the e-bike lane's going to be on the left.
I would propose too, I would suggest maybe the walking lane would be a little narrower than the bike lane. Just something to think about. But
I mean, I think one of the key messages of this is the words that says dual usage path. I don't think it's necessarily delineating, but that's just my opinion.
I think
I give the kids faith, I try to trust the kids. I think a lot of them just aren't aware that, hey, this is not acceptable to go zooming by people, and this is an easy way to just say, hey.
It's more of an education thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
$2,000.
I mean, I had a conversation with a student today who was in an accident. He was in an accident a couple months ago, a serious accident, and he came flying up on his e-bike without a helmet on. Like, he's already hit his head on one of the poles out there, yet I left it at home. Like, oh, okay. Well, there you go. So, is it parenting? Is it, that's a big part of it. That's what we've got to deal with. Do we have to make a rule for absolutely everything? We can't make everything safe. There's no way we can,
Bubble wrap
get
everything.
rid of the community, right? It can bubble wrap every pole and sign and everything out there. Can't do that.
You're saying
But
it's not a law, it's just a...
I understand, and I agree. I'm with you. There's more we can do, and going forward, I want to do more, and maybe that's on another item that we have later on in this meeting that we can discuss some of the other stuff that might happen. But initially, absolutely.
We have to do something. There's no pride of ownership here. If it doesn't work, we can try something else. We have to do something.
The police chief.
Commissioner, something's got to.
Good evening, Wes Mullins, Police Chief. Happy New Year. So my only concern, I love the idea. I think it's I think we should move forward with it. I just have a question for Becky specifically about enforcement of.
Enforcement.
Right.
Right?
So what is the.
Voluntary.
Okay, and that's fine. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page there, right? So.
Voluntary.
Okay, as long as we're all agreed that that's a voluntary step that they can take, then that's great. But if we're expecting some sort of enforcement on top of those signage, of that signage, then that's something that we need to discuss by ordinance or whatever else. Am I
Yeah,
correct on that? Or?
We can't enforce it unless we have an ordinance.
That is correct,
That
right.
lays out exactly what we're enforcing.
Right, okay.
I'm not looking for a new law.
Let's say we pass this, Becky, and then somebody that's in the walking lane gets hit by a bike in the bike lane because they moved over a little too far. Is there a possibility for some kind of libel lawsuit that they say,
Oh, yeah, I mean, people are going to sue over absolutely everything,
Okay,
and they're
okay.
going to grab at everything that they
Okay,
can
okay.
to have a basis
So-
for a lawsuit.
is there anything that the city can put in writing to say that this is a voluntary compliance and that we're indemnified of any accidents might happen while we're trying to actually make things better?
You had the word
I don't-
suggested or something? I don't know. Yeah.
Walk and ride at your own risk, I guess.
No, I'm just
And
saying.
I think that that's
if you put
probably
this
true.
line there,
Wes, actually, I have a question for you.
and
Since you're up here.
somebody walking hits a bike, or somebody on a bike hits somebody walking, is that going to increase our liability for the city?
Because the striping's there.
I don't believe so, but, you know, when people file suit, they use the shotgun approach, and they sue everybody, which would probably include the city, but they'd probably sue the city anyway.
Well, right now, if that happened, they wouldn't be able to say, there was a line, and they crossed the line and hit me.
No, I agree with you on that, but what they would say is that the sidewalk's too small, and Cocoa Beach allows pedestrians and bicyclists to use the same sidewalk. I mean, there are all kinds of arguments lawyers will come up
Okay,
with.
I would
So-
like to.
Can bikes use
I would
sidewalk?
like to add an amendment to the motion that we don't actually do it. You know, we go forward with planning to do it, but we don't go do the painting until after our next meeting and give Becky a chance to hash out whatever she thinks we could do to
limit
maybe
the-
indemnify ourselves a little bit for doing this. Please, Becky.
I would be happy to look at that.
Okay. So that's my amendment. I'm
So-
looking for a second.
So let me get this better. You want to fund it but not execute until
Right.
investigation.
I need a
second
second.
that.
There's a second.
Real quick, Chief, are you working with the schools, with the elementary school or high school at all, to help maybe bicycle and sidewalk safety courses? Or can we somehow try to see if we can make that work?
We can. We have new SROs there this year, but we can. What we have done proactively is we've stationed officers, if anybody's seen them, specifically in the Cedar Minuteman area. And we've made a lot of proactive stops there based on citizen complaints. We've had a lot of proactive enforcement and a lot of compliance. We have noticed speeds down. Now, I'm not saying we can catch them all. We haven't caught all the little gangs yet, the little e-bike gangs, but we're working hard towards it. E-bikes are a problem. I'm aware of it. We have been proactive in the enforcement of it. I can get the SROs in the schools to be more active, yes.
I'd like to see something kind of like driver's ed, but for bikes,
But
basically.
they actually have the bicycle and pedestrian unit as part of the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization.
Okay.
And they're more than willing to come to any school, anytime, to talk to students.
We can reach out to TPO and get that done, yes, sir.
Please do that.
Yep, we can get that done.
Because they're professionals. They do this around the county year round.
We're all about it. Anything else?
Okay, thank you. That was it. Chief. One other question about your amendment. What do you guys feel as far as maybe putting some signs with it that says bicycles yield to pedestrians?
Let's wait till Becky looks at it, and she may say if you put the signs up, you're less indemnified than you will if you don't put the signs up, or whatever. We can always add the signs.
Only if those signs go on poles that are already there.
Okay.
You don't want to add any new poles.
I agree with that. I like that.
to that area
Come the
at all.
Foot down.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd support that, though. Just let this
Okay.
record.
Would you mind adding that to the amendment that if there's any signs that are nearby?
Who's gonna look
it-
into
okay.
everything?
Yeah.
That
All right.
could help
We can
indemnify the
adjust it.
city
Cool.
in case
Adjust it
something
down.
happens from putting these lines in.
Sounds good.
Whether it's signs or
All in favor
public
of
notice in the
funding?
newspaper
Aye.
or whatever.
All in favor of funding and letting Becky look into it
The
further?
amendment goes first.
The amendment.
With his
Vote
amendment?
on the amendment, then you vote on the main motion.
Okay. We vote on the amendment. Are we okay with that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All in favor with the motion,
The main motion.
main motion?
Aye.
My main man, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, passes 5-0 on both. All right. New business.
Okay, new business. Item 1, approve the scope of services and fee estimate from Mead and Hunt to perform engineering and design for 3 lift station rehabilitation projects and Port Canaveral Sewer Force Main Air Release Valve Replacement Project. Total amount is $297,211. These are budgeted items. Staff Representative Brad Calzo, Water Reclamation Director.
Move to approve K1 as written, or as read.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any public comment? Any commission comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Number 2?
Okay, item 2, approve construction budget, $350,000 for Holiday Lane Boat Ramp Project. Representative Jeremy Hutcherson, Commissioner. Recommendation approve.
Move to discuss
To discuss?
and potentially approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to discuss.
And potentially approve.
Any public comment? Go ahead, Art.
Art Hitch, 141 Esther Drive, Cocoa Beach. First, I would like to thank Wayne for addressing some of the issues that we've had there, that the ramp had a severe drop-off, and he did take attention and temporarily help us out with that, because I did break the springs on my boat trailer going off that one time. The questions I have, basically, when I look at this agenda summary, it doesn't say anything. When I look at the construction budget, it just shows a figure. What I would like to know is what is entailed in this project. Is the boat ramp going to be torn apart, rebuilt? Is the right-of-way entrance, is that going to be paved or fixed or whatever? I realize that the right-of-way easement is very, very small. And I know in the past, I think that the city kind of said they would not advertise that heavily as a public boat ramp because it's a small access and you're not going to be able to put any boat over probably 30 foot using that ramp with the access that we have right now. But as living there, and originally that boat ramp was not the city's property. It's in my deed, it's in everybody's deed on Esther Drive and also on Holiday. And the city took it from us, I think about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it hasn't been till recently that anything has been done. Thankfully, Wayne has seen the problems there and tried to address it temporarily until we find out what's going on. One other issue with the whole thing on Esther Drive that a lot of people don't know, as a property owner, I own halfway to the center of the canal. It's in my survey, and everybody from my property up to the boat ramp owns rights to I'm paying taxes on 40 feet of water. So, you know, that's another consideration to take, but what is going to be done? What is the scope of the project? What is the money going to be spent for?
Thank you, Art.
Can I interject? The only thing I'm going to support for that project is to, we basically have to take out most of the existing ramp, at least all of it that's underwater, okay? And then engineer some preformed pieces of concrete, the width of the ramp, long enough, and where they can be placed and interconnected to give a long enough ramp to meet the bottom of the canal, okay? As far as finger docks, no finger dock on the north side. And I went out and talked to Mr. Giselle, went in his backyard. There's like 4 foot of room for a finger dock that would actually start on the land side before you could walk right onto his property. So there won't be any finger docks. There have been finger docks, and people have been able to get their boats and their kayaks in and out of the water. I believe, a lot of boat trailers are drive-on now, and usually after you get all set up, you have somebody on the boat, you back in, they start up the boat, it's running, you do a little disconnect, back in, pop the brakes, they slide off, you take your boat and your trailer back home, and they go meet you at the house and you guys go boating. So the other thing that I would support is ordinance for that particular area, the easement, the 15-foot easement and the 20-footer on the north side, where you have just enough room to, cut up and back in a trailer, to have an ordinance that says no unoccupied vehicles, and have a substantial fine, at least $250, and vehicles will be towed. That way, first of all, there's not room. You park a couple cars up there, then you can't even get up there with the boat trailer to put your boat in the water. So in the case I gave you before, where people went up, they backed their trailer in, somebody was on the boat, they took the boat home, somebody else took the car home. No, you don't have any unoccupied vehicles.
Public comment.
So instead of having no parking, where somebody might be parked long enough to go unhook their boat, you're calling that parking, because the car's in park, so it is parked. I want to go with no unoccupied vehicles.
Hey.
And at least a $250 fine.
Commissioner-
And if we have enough to
Commissioner
do
Williams,
some.
Commissioner, sorry to interrupt, but this is public comment.
No,
This is
I
public
wanted
comment.
to explain it before we get more public comment with the exact same, what is it?
I've allowed it, so.
Okay, sorry.
And Mayor, if
Mayor,
helpful,
My mistake.
Mayor, if helpful, I can give a few bullet points to clarify. It may
Okay,
save a lot
can
of
we-
time,
can we
but
wrap
I'm
up
fine
some of
waiting to
this?
the end.
And, because there's lots of comments, and go ahead real quick.
Yeah, so thank you, sir, for that. My intention here was to provision the money. Totally valid comment, and from a design side, I've only ever seen this as just a maintenance. No growing, capability or dock. It's just making it more safer and more reliable. So certainly, no, I completely respect your rights. I don't want folks, thinking it's a commercial ramp. What I thought was interesting, I submitted this on Sunday night. Again, my intent was to provision the money piece of it because we had an underrun on a completely separate project and allocate that for the construction. The commission already approved the designs. I didn't think it was prudent to design it and not have money to do anything with it on the construction side. But I found it interesting. Sunday night, I submitted this to the city, and Tuesday morning, I'm already getting nasty grams with completely false information. So I don't know even how it got into public domain of all these narratives that I had no input on. No one reached out to me on any of that. But there was all over Facebook of commercial operations, and none of that came from me. So I appreciate the comment, but that's the genesis of me just carving out the money and laying in place. I think there's plenty of comments that can fill in the gaps.
Well, there's already a sign up there saying no commercial use.
Got it.
And like you said, there's been rumors that some kayak company or somebody would start using it, or somebody else, but it's not, the easement right now for what I have a copy of the original easement that was granted.
We're aware of that.
Yeah, there's not enough room for any of that, but,
Let's keep going. We got a lot of comments.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Art. Noted. Tom Coons.
Hello, my name is Tom Coons. I live on Holiday Lane. My family and I on Holiday Lane, we're avid boaters, but we do not live on the water. So that ramp is very important to us. We've been using it for 16 years. I've been living on that street for 16 years. I've been here in Cocoa Beach, for 3 decades. The ramp is our main access to the lagoon. We're not able to use Ramp Road. Ramp Road is a great ramp, I gotta say. It's done well. You guys really did that one good. But it takes me an hour to get to my neighborhood from there because it's all idle speed all the way around to get all the way back to where I'm at, right? And also the 520 ramp, too shallow. I don't have a big boat. I have a 21-foot boat. And, it's too shallow to launch here. I'm not going to back my truck into the water. So that's just out. So that's the only ramp that I can use. And I think there's a lot of residents that are in the same situation that I am. So that only leaves that ramp there. That ramp also, it's been there forever. It's been there a long time, as long as I've been there. And really, like I say, I've been here 30 years. It's been there. The residents that don't live on the water really don't have that access that the people on the water do. But honestly, that ramp, it's like the ramp that I use. It's the ramp that all my friends in our neighborhood uses, and without it, we'd be in trouble. We would have to go really to Ramp Road, and then it's a lot different. So what I want to say though is there's a lot of false information out there that I've seen on Facebook and I've seen everywhere, and it kind of worries me because people have been really spreading these falsehoods about, they're going to increase the footprint. They're going to, do all these other things that I find are not true. I've spoke with several people, and we've been trying to get that ramp repaired for 6 years. 6 years ago, I think, was when we first started to get it repaired. When I go there, my boat actually drops off the end of the ramp before I'm deep enough to even launch. And I have a friend that also broke a spring there. And all those things are very, concerning to me because that's my only access. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Wake up. Juliet Goodman. Just want to remind everybody that we've got 3 minutes for public comment.
Hello, thank you guys for being here, and Happy New Year, as everyone keeps saying, so that's a good thing. I live on Holiday Lane, 4 houses from the boat ramp. We have 2 boats. We moved specifically to Cocoa Beach from Orlando because we wanted to be on the water. We have 2 boats. We've spent a lot of money putting our boat docks and all that stuff because it's important to us. We use that ramp all the time. It is a mess. It is kind of usable if you can make it work. And I do appreciate when the additional stuff was put in, the dump trucks were full of the rock and stuff, because that made a huge difference, but it swallowed out a little bit again because the same tracks go down. I am all in favor of making improvements to it. My only concern, of course, is not knowing what the plan is, but thank you for replying to my email today that talked about just doing maintenance to it and not expanding it, not making eminent domain, to take people's land, to put a second stall in and all the stuff which has been talked about in our neighborhood. So just improving what's already there so we don't have to use the engines to take effort off of the axle, to not rip our axle off when we pull the boat out. That would be a plus. My only concern is spending taxpayer money that could be appropriated other appropriate places, sorry. Because I've seen preliminary parking plans of the new Mercado, and there is going to be very little access. So if there is not enough access for boats 21 feet and above to pull in with their trailers and trucks, whatever they're pulling, and back in, then there's not really a reason to improve a boat ramp that no one can use besides kayaks and 13-foot skiffs. That's my only concern. I'm hoping that there is a better plan than the only one I've seen on Cocoa Beach Building Department's website of the layout for the Mercado, because that gives us a 30-foot strip in and then a 30-foot strip maybe 60 feet, which is pretty hard to line up a boat to be able to back it down. So I would love to see what the improvement plan is for the ramp, but also love to see what that final approved plan is for the Mercado parking lot to see what's actually worth it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment first. Jack Kirschenbaum.
Good evening. It's nice to be here and not be a lawyer. It's hard to be against something when you don't know what that something is. But it's even harder to be for something when you don't know what that something is. Some years ago, the city made a request of the Florida Inland Navigational District to fund improvements to that ramp. And it was a big deal. It was going to be a big deal with finger piers and a lot of other stuff. And so everybody wants that ramp improved, but it depends on how you define improvement. The ramp itself, certainly, as everybody's already said here, it really needs to be improved. But if you look at the plans of Mercado, the fact that there's no parking there, there's no restrooms there, I'm not even sure the city owns the ramp. And so I didn't do a title search on it, but there's all kinds of questions. The owners of the houses on Esther do own a significant portion of the canal. And so my sister is the first house right there at the bottom of the ramp. And her concern is that because there is no plan, there is a great fear as to what the impacts will be if something is done there. If you're going to fix the ramp, I think everybody would be delighted, but you're going to have to overlay Mercado on that little easement that's there and really decide how to spend the money that you're allocating there. And I think that's the greatest concern. There's great ramps on Ramp Road on 4th Street South. There's a great ramp out there on 520. And when the city was doing its dredging project at the end of Cocoa Isles and the dredging company was using that landing there, a lot of kayak companies started using that for their commercial operations. So you put them all out at the rec center, at the pavilion, which with the floating docks. There's plenty of access for those commercial operations. But if this became another one of those, then it would be a problem. I don't know that you're headed that way. I don't know what you plan to do there. But I would really like, and my sister would really like to see what the plan is for the project so she can be for it or against it. And I use that ramp all the time. It's a great, convenient neighborhood ramp. And as long as it stays a great, convenient neighborhood ramp, the city has another great asset, and so do the neighbors. Thanks.
Thank you, Jack. Orson.
Orson Tarver, 178 June Drive. So it sounds like the Mercado comes up a lot. I think
one thing to point out, I think I sent you all their email from last summer when you guys were going through the process of the 2025 budget and you put 75K in. It sounds like they're very supportive of the boat ramp. I think they even said that maybe there's an obligation that this area needs to be maintained per the easement. I don't know, Becky probably knows better. I think I've personally spoken to one of the representatives, and he's pro-boater. He owns tour boats. And when he was proposing the Mercado, he actually met with the community. When the very, very beginning, he met with residents, Tom and Annette and a bunch of us, and to present the plans. And of course, we said to him, like, hey, what about the boat ramp? And he's like, I want you guys to continue to use that. I want to work with you all. I want to make sure that access is always there for the community. So the only thing I'll mention is when it comes to community boat ramp, I think this is the only boat ramp that has actually had like organized cleanups. We've literally mobilized when it was really trashed, it was overgrown. We even had the owner of like 4 hotels show up in his fancy mower and mowed it for us one time, Tom Hermanson. I see some of my fellow neighbors here. We've picked up trash. It truly is a community ramp. We take care of it. I don't know if there's communities that take care of Ramp Road or Bicentennial, but everyone really cares about it. It's truly just for the locals. Everyone's pointed out there's no parking. No one wants parking. No one wants finger piers. No one wants commercial activity. It sounds like everyone's pretty much in agreement. We just want it fixed up. Been working on this for 6 years. I know Wayne and I have probably talked a few Sundays a few times about it. It is expensive. Boat ramps are not cheap. I think it was probably cheaper to fix 5-6 years ago. Now it's more expensive, and I'm sure in 3-4 more years it'll be even more expensive. But I do think you can save some money. Joshua came down met with some of us, and he saw the ramp is very wide. It's a ramp that is probably oversized for what we really need, which is just a single truck and trailer. I think if you meet with some contractors, there may be an opportunity to narrow the ramp some. Might save on some costs. There's also a sewer outfall, or not sewer, but stormwater outfall that probably needs to be rehabilitated. Maybe there's some funding to fix that at the same time as the ramp. Just some ideas on maybe how to control costs on this, because I totally get it. They are expensive, and we have a lot of very expensive amenities. I think I'm standing in one right now that's very expensive. And I know boat ramps are expensive as well. But the good thing is, though, is boat ramps, we make this investment 20 or 30 years. It's not a lot of maintenance. I know a lot of other amenities that we spend probably this amount of money all the time, just like that. Sorry, forgot. Oh, perfect timing. So thank you so much. And I appreciate it. I want to thank each and every one of you, though, real quick, because this is the first time this has really been discussed, and you already put some money forward towards it at the budget. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Orson. All right, you wanted to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah. The easement, to stay on the easements, I would think that you would want to keep the ramp as wide as it is, because if somebody, anybody that backs up a boat trailer and has done it more than a dozen times gets pretty good at keeping the boat straight and getting it to turn where they want it to. So if you had a 30-foot boat, you could actually back from Holiday Lane straight down that easement. You can. Huh?
It's a 90-degree turn. It's not straight.
No. You're on Holiday, okay? And you're backing a 90, you've got to go 90-degree turn. You can pull up and straighten out. Then you back all the way down toward the boat ramp, and then you turn so that your boat goes into the water. I can do it.
More than a 90-degree turn, actually. It's actually more than a 90-degree turn.
Okay. Well, maybe not that big a boat.
Anyways.
But I could back down there, and then with that wider ramp, I could maneuver myself where I could get the boat back and forth with that little bit of easement.
This isn't a measuring contest.
Get it in the water.
Guys, so let's just get to the point at hand. I approved the 75 grand because I thought that's what we were going to spend to make it usable to work on. I didn't know that was 75 grand was supposed to be the design thing. I was okay with spending 75 grand to maintain it. I'm okay to maintain it. You said 75 grand plus 350. We're talking close to $500,000 on a boat ramp that has no public parking, that has very poor access. I absolutely want to maintain it. I do not want to rebuild it. I'd rather spend that $500,000 towards the fire station. I think there's a lot more stuff that we could do that is more necessary than a community boat ramp. If we wanted a boat ramp in the city, I think I'd rather spend $500,000 at a boat ramp right by the aquatic center over here. I think that'd be more useful, deep water, easy. But we're going to have Bicentennial. It's going to be deep and usable, so that's a great usable ramp. I would like to just continue doing what you got to do to maintain it, make sure it's usable. But I think we could, we're trying to save money for different projects and important stuff like fire stations and stuff like that. I'd rather use this much money towards something that's more safety oriented. That's safety oriented too, but I'm saying let's maintain it, but let's use the money towards, yeah.
I'm a little concerned because I was unable to determine after looking at a bunch of documents, and I'm getting more documents tomorrow, but that it's actually owned by the city.
Okay.
It does not appear that it's actually owned by the city, and that's a concern.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
You're concerned
continue
that it is not
that it
owned?
is not owned by the city.
Okay. So this easement that we have,
We do have the easement. I was involved in getting the easement.
Right.
But I'm talking about the actual ramp.
and that easement, as I look at the plat, goes straight from Holiday Lane on the west side of that easement, a straight line all the way to the end of that easement, and does not go west at all toward the boat ramp. Correct?
Right.
So that easement is right there. So that property of the boat ramp itself, you're saying, as a resident mentioned earlier, that they believe that it was deeded to everyone that lived on Holiday Lane in that.
And it may very well be. That is not an unusual situation, in which case it would not belong to the city.
So my thought is a couple things, now that I have a chance to speak. I agree. You know, the city we have Ramp Road, and it was mentioned earlier about Bicentennial Park, that there's, the access there is terrible. And it is.
But it's getting redone.
That's where I'm going. Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Exactly. I was on the leisure board and we helped push that through to get it. And actually, the city manager did really the legwork in getting $2 million plus worth of grants to redo all of Bicentennial Park, raise it up so it doesn't flood.
3.2.
Pardon me?
3.2 million.
Which is, yes, 3.2, which is considerably above 2 million. Thank you. Great job. And so that's about within the next year. I think they're doing, breaking ground maybe in the next month or two. Next month or two, right? Right? So we've got that going. I believe a lot of folks that were advised of this, and Mr. Tarver, I appreciate what you've done. You've been working on this for a long time. But these people were, I think, just as the mayor thought, that it was $75,000. I spoke to the Mercado folks, and when I said it's over $400,000, they're like, what? You know, I thought it was $75,000, and that's all we were going to put in there. It doesn't make any sense to spend close to $500,000 when, you know, it's used by X number of people, and I appreciate that that's your property and that you bought that to have access there too. But you also mentioned that, oh, that's a lot of money for just me, you know, in the city. So they were somewhat misled. This petition, two of the people don't live there anymore. I went through the rolls and see that. So the 26 people, actually seven people on this petition actually voted in 2024. Not that that means anything, but actually went to vote to make decisions for the city. $400,000 is a lot of money for that spot, and as Mayor mentioned, it could be used elsewhere. And I agree with Mr. Kirschenbaum and everyone else here agrees we've got to do something, but maintaining it is great. And if we can do that on a regular basis, or how often does that have to be redone? Can you, when you did something to it before and you said, hey, we appreciate what you did, how long did that last? How much did that cost?
Cost barely anything.
The frequency of that would depend on the usage.
Yeah.
But in general, twice a year, every 6 months.
Every 6 months at a cost of?
$1,000.
Peanut, yeah, less than $1,000. It's all done with city staff.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you up for public comment?
I am,
We have already had public comment.
so I can't comment.
Let me let him finish and I'll allow you to do it.
I'd like to hear what she has to say before I'm finished.
Okay, yeah, come on.
She obviously
Annette Coons.
sparked something, so that's good.
Annette Coons, 122 Holiday Lane. I would agree that I wasn't too sure what the 75,000 as well was earmarked for, but my original thought, what I understood, was to repair the ramp. So my question is, with that 75,000, instead of doing a study of the ramp, could that money be used to somehow fix the drop-off at the water line at the ramp? Because that is really, I think, what we're all looking for at this point. We're not looking for bells and whistles. We're just looking to be able to use the ramp to where our trailer is not dropping off to the abyss, and to where you cannot put your trailer on straight, or put your boat on the trailer straight. So my suggestion would be to take that 75,000 and fix the bottom of the ramp that needs to be fixed, rather it be an extension of the concrete or whatever it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's exactly right. So at roughly $2,000 a year, you add in inflation, that could last maybe 25 years, $75,000. Just saying. So, well, it would actually develop its own interest if you kept it in a bank and did that. So it'd be its own, yeah, it'd take care of itself forever, in perpetuity. But that's a great idea. The 75,000, if that's something we've already earmarked it for that spot. I'm for that 100%. I'm definitely not for $350 additional $1,000 for the ramp. And also agree that we need to have, that we could simply add some signage to make sure that there's no commercial business being done there. And yeah, I think that would be fantastic.
Okay, yeah, the signage for the no commercial, I think, is definitely necessary. My concern was if it was fixed up and it was nice, that as soon as the International Palms was rebuilt, that they could just go across the street and do kayak tours with a golf cart. So that as long as there's no commercial, then, we're good on that.
So a comment, maybe the city manager can speak to what the requirements were that drove that 350K. I didn't make that number up. That was just from the project, and I caught in the quarterly report of, hey, this is funded for design. It's not funded for construction. So part of me says, let's not spend the 75,000 on design if we're not going to also commit to build a solution. So if it's just a ROM, just a made up number, maybe that's way high. I don't know. I mean, clearly the requirements drive a lot of the cost and a lot of the resident concerns. I think we all agree, let's have a simple ramp. Don't make a commercial operation. I don't know how that messaging got out. But I don't know what the 350K, is that just a educated guess, or what is that? What requirements drove that number, the genesis of that number? And then we can determine if that's a real number, or it's...
Coincidentally, we were at a point in this project where I wasn't quite sure what the scope of the project was either, what the $75,000 was earmarked towards. So what we did was we went and approached our continuing services agreements, general contractors, and had 3 of them look at the project with the intent of taking the ramp out and replacing it. No finger piers, just the replacement of the existing boat ramp. All 3 of them declined to propose on it for a number of reasons. One of the driving factors was the logistics of the project. It's such a tight area, and what we wanted to do would have been difficult. In the conversations with them, we asked them to just give us a ballpark, off the record type, and all of them were in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. How that got out, I don't know. But what I was going to do, if this had not been brought up, was come to the commission and ask what the path forward is, because the path forward now, if you want to go ahead and replace the ramp itself, is I have to advertise an RFP. And in that RFP will be an actual design, a scope of what the actual project is. So I appreciate the comment on Ramp Road. That was one of my first ramps. This is the 4th time in my tenure here. I've been with the city for 17 years. This is the 4th time that this project and all of this stuff, this is deja vu all over again for me, because this has come up with, I think it's 3 different city managers. I wasn't the city manager at the time, but so I'm well aware of what's going on there. We can keep fixing, Band-Aid fixing it. But if you guys want me to get a detailed, cost like that, and then the question was, where's the money coming from? It's not budgeted.
I personally would like you to keep fixing it, but maybe be a little bit more proactive with fixing it, so that it's, I like the idea of what you've been doing, just maybe a little bit more frequent.
There's some more things we can do, quite frankly, to improve its usability now, if that's a word, but.
I've had some really great conversations on the topic with Eric and Annette, with actually a number of folks. And it did come up that a little bit of the history associated with the property is in question, right? And I think the comment that was made of it was part of what was deeded to the property owners, and about 10 years ago, that was turned over to the city, and I know there was an easement piece, and I know that part of the easement process that happened was there were pool facilities or pool pumps that were on what was considered part of the property associated with the boat ramp, and the easement was part of an exchange to turn, when you look on the property appraisers, that rectangle that's part of the property it's adjacent to, that was part of a trade. And I think that some of the records there we'll have to figure out. But I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV. But where the boat ramp exists, even if there's question on property ownership, where there's a safety issue and their property is being damaged, to restore the function and the safety of the ramp doesn't seem to be a outlandish thing. I really liked where Commissioner Williams was mentioning a prefabricated wedge, essentially, that you could just trim the concrete, put that in place, right? And you'd want to target the low water mark because, of course, throughout the year, you don't make it long enough and all of a sudden the water is down lower than the wedge is. But putting in something or a couple pieces that get us a contiguous ramp down to where the boaters need it to be, not expanding, not ripping and replacing, I think we run the risk of enhancing the landing to the point where it does start to attract commercial. But to the point of what's been used up until now, the size, the utility of it hasn't attracted commercial. It has been a fantastic benefit for a number of residents. So I would like to see us stay at the 75. I would be hard pressed to think that putting in some concrete shapes at the end of the boat ramp would drive us well beyond a $75,000 project. Labor, equipment, materials, that sounds ballpark there. Of course, the rip and replace would take us, I'm not surprised to hear it at the $350,000, $400,000 place. But in terms of what we had with the boat ramp, the opportunity there to just restore the function, I think, is what we have. And that's what I thought I was voting on when we put in the 75K.
I'd like to make an amendment to the main motion that's on the floor, that we authorize up to an additional $75,000 for the improvement of that ramp. I think we'll get more of a permanent fix if we do that.
So you're saying 150 total?
150K total?
100, well, we've got 75 already allotted, so it'd be another 75. And that would give a little bit of latitude to the city manager and maybe even figure out a way to do it in-house, rent a crane, pour a slab. They'll get creative. But my motion is to allow up to another $75,000 for the repair.
To restore function. Yep.
And I'd look for a second on that.
I'll second that.
I got a second, Karen, from Commissioner Jackson.
In clarification, that the first 75K would not be a design fee, it would also be with the second 75K for a.
Yeah, they can do.
More robust short-term
Whatever we
solution.
need to do with
Got it,
the.
150K.
Yeah.
Got it.
Total cost to restore function,
150K.
no enhancements, no modification, just restore function.
No more than 150.
Right. Okay. Vote on the amended motion?
Does this sound like something, considering you've talked to 3 contractors, or is this something that the city would do themselves?
Well, but remember, the 350, 400K estimate that was off the books that they gave them was to rip and replace the whole thing.
Yeah. He just said.
No, that was a
He just said he
number
could do
they
it.
pulled out of the air to cover
My,
the.
my
butts
question was
of
just
bigger.
to make sure that the city themselves can do it, so we're not trying to get, somebody else in here.
Yeah.
Okay, and honestly, it'll be a lot less than 150 if we're doing it ourselves. It's concrete
Okay.
and rebar.
You said no to.
Okay.
So vote
All
on
right,
the amended
so
motion.
on the amended motion, not to exceed 150,000 total, which is an addition,
Adding
which is an add-
75,000 to what's
added
currently-
75,000, which is the 75,000 is already budgeted,
Right,
so we have to come up with 75,000 from somewhere.
right.
Okay,
But no longer designing a long-term
Full
350K
restoration
solution,
of
using
function.
that 75K plus the second 75K to come up with a more robust.
I can go with that if
Term
we're
solution.
talking about the city doing it ourselves, because I know it won't be 150.
So I think we still need to wait on city attorney's confirmation that
All right.
we actually can do this legally.
Okay, do you want me to do the research without, have to get a title search?
I would rather do the research first.
Okay.
So can we
I think that's
table
probably a
this
good idea.
until-
We can make it, and
Very
then if she
similar
comes
to
back and
the-
says you can't do it, then we can't do it.
A title search costs $150.
Yeah, it shouldn't be more than that.
Get a title search. Let's see who owns that property.
A previous
part of
contingent
the-
on that.
That'll be part of the 150,000.
Perfect. There you go.
Okay, all right.
Amended motion.
All in favor
Turns out it's 1,000.
for the amendment?
Aye.
To repair it ourselves?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
How about that?
Now you gotta vote on the main motion.
Oh, all right, now let's vote on the main
As
motion
amended.
as amended.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Wow. That was awesome.
Okay.
We got a $150,000 boat ramp.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's like
Maybe.
75,000.
I mean, you could use some rip wrap and rocks and cocaine.
Thank you for spearheading this and really giving it legs to.
I gotta go to the bathroom too.
I'm not gonna miss.
I gotta go to the
Let's do a short restroom break.
All right.
5 minutes. All right, let's bring this meeting back to order.
You mean to order?
To order.
Implying that it was in order at one point.
Well,
K3. K3.
all right.
I almost got to work tomorrow.
Number 3.
Okay, this is new business item 3. Request the city commission designate a specific portion of Minutemen Causeway as a park, Minutemen Park. South side of Minutemen Causeway from La Riviere Road to Roosevelt Elementary School. North side of Minutemen Causeway from Danube River Drive to Pelican Cove Condo. Representative Tim Tumulty, Commissioner.
Move to discuss designating a specific portion as stated of Minuteman Causeway as a park.
Second.
All right, let's discuss this.
A comment.
Go ahead.
Should this come to fruition, and it's happening in 2025, I think we should call it the Minuteman Centennial Park.
I brought that up with someone else, and it's like, well, that's just too much. It's either Minutemen or Centennial Park, and
Boy, that's
but that's a
Centennial
great idea.
Square.
It could be Minuteman
It could,
Centennial
it
Park.
could be. It
All
could
three
be.
words.
That's, yeah.
This is
The fact
your,
that we're already naming it kind of implies that we're just going to go do it, so.
You wouldn't
I'm
even
good
have
with that.
to name it. You wouldn't
Either
even
way,
have
whatever you want to call it.
You wouldn't even have to name it.
I would like a little context or ideas of why you want to do this and what you plan on doing. And does it help us get grant funding for parks or what?
Exactly. So we've all driven Minutemen Causeway or gone down Minutemen Causeway or walked it or whatever forever. And it's, first of all, it's very dark. It's, obviously at night, the lighting is terrible. There's poles right there in the road. When it's cleaned out, it's actually, you don't even realize there's water on the other side of those trees. So basically, it's just multifaceted, right? It's the entryway to the high school, to the sports complex, being the golf course, the pool, the tennis courts, and all. If we don't designate it a park, then it's the responsibility of us to, if we want to call it, make improvements to it, it's going to cost money from the city, from residents, donations and whatnot. By designating it a park, you now have other revenue streams, potential revenue streams, whether it's state grants, TDC money, and the TDC, as we know, has a lot of money that they want to spend on parks, and they don't have anywhere to spend it. There are a lot of parks that just say, oh, we don't need your money, for whatever reason. So it's there. There's lots of opportunities. We do have a problem with power lines in all of Cocoa Beach. I'd like to see them all underground. And if all those power lines on Minutemen Causeway were underground, that would be, it would just look spectacular. In addition to taking all the invasive species out, redoing the sidewalk, or 2 sidewalks, so you have a pedestrian sidewalk and a bike sidewalk, would alleviate that stripe, but I don't want to diminish that. I think that's a great idea initially, that we absolutely do that. But it just adds a lot. It becomes another amenity for Cocoa Beach, which will raise the value of properties around all up and down Minutemen Causeway, at the end of Minutemen Causeway, and just think it's a positive for everybody.
So are you proposing that we put money towards it or we just designate it?
We just designate it, no money.
Okay.
We don't need to put any money toward it, other than whatever it costs in
Registration or something?
yeah, documentation and time that, a couple of employees, a couple of hours of work.
So I just have one concern about the north side. I'm trying hard to see if we can pave just a westbound lane between the elementary school and right after that little park.
Right.
Because as we all know, it gets backed up and it backs up all of Minuteman.
Yeah.
If there was a lane where you could go around, I think, and then there was that turning lane for the school.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that that doesn't encroach onto, where you want to designate the park.
Right, I agree, and that would start about where that, where the sign is from the alumni sign that's put out there, that's been put out there.
And there's already tracks there.
Right.
There is, we already have the track, so we know where that road starts, and it's really for a short period of time, every day.
And we had, I'm having a brain fart. Our friend donated drone service.
Right.
And so we're already looking into that to see if it's feasible or what we got to do. So we got a lot of free service from Rick. So that was great.
Yeah. Additionally, we did put a seawall around the golf course a few years back, and that was initiated from the Leisure Board, and the fact that the timing of it was such that we got it in just before a hurricane, and that hurricane potentially could have taken out half the golf course. It's already eroded back 20 to 40 feet, I think, on the south side of the golf course from the original dredging and building of this land out here. And I see that happening up and down the causeway as well. And you can see that at the street ends, at all the canal streets and whatnot
That
on there
was,
as well.
by the way, it was grant funded, that inland seawall.
It was, 100%.
So
Matter
that's
of fact-
potential for this.
Exactly. And actually, we got a grant for, I think, 2.1 million, and we only used 1.6 or 1.8, something like that. So we were very frugal with our money and didn't overspend, and ended up giving some of that money back to the state in good faith. So it's very likely that they'll be able to help us out going forward.
Is there any
Danube
doubt?
River, that's where you said you wanted to start up to?
So I don't know that we need to make an absolute decision on exactly where it goes right now. The fact that we all want to do it, if we have an agreement to do it, we can go forward and move this to another meeting, maybe not the next meeting, but maybe a couple meetings out.
To the Land Sustainability Board.
I think that'd be a great idea. Or the Leisure Board, which is in charge of parks and rec for the entire city.
Land Committee.
As long as we're not designating extra funds to it, I think it's great, like you said, so that we can get funds through the state or through, the TDC.
That's exactly my thought. I mean, originally I was thinking, to do that, to get donations and maybe match it with some city funding, but hey, if we just make this a park, there's a lot of money out there that's not being used. Just like our money for our facade grants that we offer a lot of folks, it's just laying there dormant. No one's using it. There's a lot of that out there with the state, so.
So you don't anticipate any downsides to this? There's
I
no
really
legal
don't.
restrictions, no financial, seems like a win-win.
I think the most frustrating part of this is that I didn't think of it, because I think it's a really great idea. The opening up additional revenue streams that I think fit very neatly in a park of additional lighting to make that stretch safer, opening up, and I mean, it beautifies an area where we have amazing water views that we can't see because of the level of invasive species. Open that up. Why not enjoy that? Parks have driveways. Parks have paved areas that you could include the extra drive area could be part of the park's drive-through and access to parking spaces and things like that along the way. It could marry quite neatly into the additional lane or additional
I don't care, I just want the
access.
congestion fixed.
I would throw out something like consider for the name, like a Gus C. Edwards City Park or something like that. You could do a nod to the
I think
heritage
maybe
of
like a Keith
Cocoa Beach.
Capizzi City Park?
I was thinking that as a second,
Elon
but
Musk.
I think it's a really, really neat
Right,
idea.
it's got to be in.
You gotta be
It's got to be memorialized.
It's got to be in good
Memorialized.
taste. Or, no.
I also talked to some of the sports, some of the sports teams, at the school, like our cross-country, our track team. It's like, why can't we market also, nice, neatly, not some grotesque markings, but every tenth of a mile, quarter mile, so these kids know, hey, I probably
Yeah.
walked a quarter mile, and we can all do that. Oh, how far did you walk today? Well, I walked a quarter mile down Minuteman.
I'd like to see those.
Simple things.
The little exercise stations too, you see.
Yeah, I like that.
So we have those, they're there, and.
They're all worn out.
Yeah, from 1967, I think, maybe. But if that's something that a committee wants to do and add to it, funded by grants, great. If not,
I mean, we could even get local businesses to donate certain exercise equipment with a sign on it or whatever.
or some donor wants to say, hey, I want a plaque, I want my name on a plaque, like the Keith Capizzi wants to donate, $10,000, put a plaque that says, Keith Capizzi, Jungle Gyms over here.
Okay, let's take some public comment if you guys don't mind. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Orson.
Orson Tarver, 178 June Drive. So yeah, really great idea, Tim. This really sounds awesome. I was only going to suggest that, like, so funding, I bet you can get some fine grants if you put in some docks, because we live in a town that's a boating community. You can't boat to the downtown, and like, that's crazy, like we
1
should,
foot deep.
It's so shallow back there.
well, yeah.
Airboat?
Yeah, I got a lift on my motor, so I can just crank it way up. But anyways, I mean, this might be a funding source. You can put in some docks. At least it'd be nice that people could enjoy the water. I was thinking that besides the fine grants, but it's also nice to do, like you said, the TDC. I'm sure they'd kick in some money. It'd be nice to get some of that. But it would be nice to do a really nice streetscape, because it is just like a 2-lane road right down it. It could be nice with curbs and planters, and it could be really pretty. So yeah, good luck. I think sounds like a good idea.
Thank you.
I wouldn't mind some finger piers by Sunset so that people could pull into town, and that would be cool. That right just east of Sunset there. Anyways, Janice.
East of Sunset Drive.
Janice Scott, Cocoa Beach. I was concerned reading this, and then I listened to Commissioner Tumulty's only wanting designation. Boy, that sounds really wild to me, because, when you see, oh, look on the map, we have designated this part of the city, and now we need to fund this, that, and the other thing. Well, if you're going to have a park, I've been talking about this for a while, 20-some years ago when we got the Maritime Hammock, we were supposed to remove the invasive plants in there. I think anything, if you can get a park grant from TDC that easily, you need to get it, and you need to get it for the Maritime Hammock. I was actually hoping, and I know you think I'm really a hater about this, but I thought you were going to take all those extra holes at the golf course and designate it a park. That's what we'd really love to see. Thank you.
That was Netterstrom's idea. Not mine. Go ahead.
Rick Anderson, 1800 Minutemen Causeway, and I actually think it's a great idea, provided, I know Mayor Capizzi has said many times he doesn't like building things that we can't maintain. And I would not want to see it turn into anything like that. But that aside, if there can be grants, I absolutely love the idea, because one of the things I've noticed is that there's almost no riverfront access in the entire city for the public. You have McNabb Park, you've got Bicentennial Park, you've got a little bit down on Ramp Road, but there's very, very little riverfront access for the citizens of the city. So I certainly love the idea in principle. I hope there is a way to make it work and not make it another drag on the finances.
Thank you, Rick. Any other public comment? All right. What do you guys want to do? Should we, we did a motion to discuss, so.
Let's go ahead and, I'd like to make a motion to designate a to-be-determined specific portion of Minuteman Causeway as a park.
Yep.
Name to be determined at a later date.
A second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Wayne, do you foresee any downsides to this? Or Becky?
I would,
I don't.
I would, in this case too, want to verify ownership of that.
Oh, if there is any question about ownership, we can do a title search.
Of the causeway.
Right.
Yeah, my concern is, I'm all for this. My concern is on the north side, erosion, which you can't really see, but it's occurring. So I would address that too in this. And I would go after state appropriations for this and all the usual characters for money. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm on board with it, yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. I have to say, I was against it at first because I thought we were going to spend more money to make it a park, but I love it. All right. Commission, let's see. Make your appointments and then one motion to approve all appointments
Organization.
for these organizations.
Now, what do you want me to read?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
One at
A,
a time.
Space, I will. Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization, SCTPO, 2025 Cocoa Beach Voting Delegate. Blank, who's going to be that? And then
Commissioner
staff
Reed.
representative is
How
Morgan
often do they
Zulke.
meet?
Okay.
Once a month?
So I'm glad you chimed in, Mayor. I've been doing this this is my 17th.
30
year.
years?
17th year for Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization. We got a lot of things out of FDOT
Yeah.
in the city over that timeframe. I won't go into what all the things they are. We have on the books right now in the 5-year plan, which gets prioritized every year. And the raising of the 520 Causeway from Cocoa Beach to Merritt Island is the biggest thing that Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, North Beaches Coalition, we share that seat with Cape Canaveral, okay? So every 2 years, it switches between Cocoa Beach being the voting delegate and Cape Canaveral being the alternate to vice versa, okay? So this would be the last year of Cocoa Beach being the second year of the two-term year of being the voting delegate, okay? So the only thing on the books right now is the raising of 520 Causeway. And they understand it, they know our hospital's moving, you know, if we don't raise that causeway, we're not gonna be able to get to a hospital after a storm event, if there's any kind of storm surge or anything in the rivers and washes over the road and all that, we need to get that road raised. The other thing, Mayor, that's kind of a pet project that you'd like to see is to do some beautification on 520.
Absolutely.
And this is the way to do it, is to advocate through Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization. They meet about 7 to 8 times a year at 1:30 in Rockledge.
Okay.
At the Center for Collaboration. Meetings usually run no more than 2 hours. And they take a meeting off in the fall and a couple of meetings off in the summertime. You know, so I would like to see you take that seat and, you know, get your feet wet. You're gonna be here for 4 years.
I'm okay, I'll do that.
You're gonna be here too.
I'd love to do it. I'd love to advocate for our roadsides and our roads to be
Okay.
as good as they can be.
So for Karen, should this be approved, which I anticipate it will, we need a letter to Zoe at the TPO, letting her know that he and I are switching. Yes. And enough time that they can make him a nameplate, because they won't have one.
He'll bring his own.
I'll keep the one they have for me as a souvenir.
I just bring this one.
All right, so we're gonna vote these one at a time, or we just pencil that one in and keep moving?
It's-
Pencil it in.
Yeah.
Well, up to you, Mayor.
Keith?
Yeah, I would think I'd like that. I think I'd enjoy that.
Okay, Keith, you're in.
Okay, here is B, Brevard County Water Supply Group, no set meeting time, staff representative, Water Reclamation Director Brad Calzo.
I agree with that. Brad, you're stuck.
Okay, C, Space Coast League of Cities meets second Monday, 6:30 PM at Hosting City, Space Coast League of Cities Intergovernmental Committee, second Monday, 5:45 PM at Hosting City, 2025 voting delegate.
I'll volunteer to do that. I was on that for, when I was on the commission previously. As a matter of fact, at the last meeting we had, I knew half the people are still on the League of Cities, so.
I
hate to.
I think it's good. You've been around, you know.
And you get free dinners.
Okay, and
We all do, we all do.
If you show up.
But, well, there's that. And, but for voting, you've got to be there an hour earlier and go through that process.
Okay, and then we need an alternate delegate.
I'll keep Jeremy. Jeremy?
Sure.
Okay,
My attendance is very limited last
Okay.
year, but if I can fill in for Tim.
all right. D, General Employees Pension Board meets quarterly, 3 PM, Thursdays before commission meetings, Cocoa Beach. 2025 commission representative. The 2024 commission representative was Commissioner Skip Williams. So who do we want for 2025?
Yeah, I can keep doing it as long as the market goes up double digits every year.
Okay. All right. E, Cocoa Beach Arts Show, 2025 Commissioner Representative. We need to fill that. 2024 Commission Representative was Mayor Keith Capizzi.
Let's do Keith again.
I'm the vice chair of that actual,
Well, that's why
Committee.
we should keep Keith.
well, then both of us will be there at that meeting.
Conflict of interest.
That's okay. You're not doing city business, you're doing art show business.
All right.
Okay.
I don't know, is that a conflict or not?
No,
Okay,
no, you're okay.
all right then.
Okay.
That caused an uproar about 8 years ago from a former mayor.
I don't mind
I
it.
don't know, if that's what that all.
Well, I mean,
that's
you
about
can't
freedom
be,
of speech.
you can't be having a side conversation about something going on in the city.
I was just making a point that's what happened with the freedom of speech issue.
Okay.
When somebody got ejected from a meeting.
If you guys get,
Okay.
you start having qualms about it, we'll
No, there's
point
no-
somebody else.
No,
Okay.
I'm not gonna have it.
All right, next one, St. John's River Water Management District meets as needed, 2025 Staff Representative Morgan Zulke, Stormwater Utility Manager.
Go Morgan.
Okay, all right, Canaveral Port Authority meets usually the third Wednesday of the month at 9 a.m., 2025 Commission Representative, we need to fill that. In 2024, it was Carolyn Wallace.
I'd actually like to do that one, if nobody objects.
Commissioner Jackson.
Are you able to make those?
Okay, and then Cocoa Beach Main Street Staff Representative Carrie Lombardo, Government Affair Manager.
Go Carrie.
I have a question on G. I mean, you do travel. Do we need a backup on any? On the board?
They go by quorum. You don't have to be at every meeting. They have to have a quorum, just like us. So I move to approve the slate of appointments as determined at this meeting according to the public record.
Got a motion and a second. Is this something that we have public comment on? I'll allow public comment if you guys want on this. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned.